Government approves COVID vaccine for PNG. Rare traditional mourning songs for Grand Chief. And Sir Michael's final words.
This is National EMTV News with Helen Seah.
Good evening and thanks for joining us for Tuesday's news. Prime Minister James Marape this afternoon announced that the PNG Medical and Scientific Advisory Committee, after studying the various COVID-19 vaccines developed, has recommended that Papua New Guinea source the AstraZeneca vaccine. It was developed through the COVID-19 Vaccine Global Access Facility and approved by the World Health Organization. He announced this after a meeting with Health Minister Jelta Wong, National Pandemic Controller David Manning, members of the Joint Task Force, stakeholders and the Medical Advisory Committee. Around 270,000 vaccines will be sourced for the country.
Prime Minister James Marape stating that he would be amongst the first to take the AstraZeneca vaccine if needed to show Papua New Guineans that the vaccine can boost the immune system to protect them from COVID-19. Mr. Marape stating that 70,000 AstraZeneca vaccines will be sourced from India, while 200,000 will be sourced through the Australian Department of Foreign Affairs and Trade.
The AstraZeneca was chosen because of the temperature and because of its widespread use already around the world. There's already 40 million AstraZeneca vaccine that have been immunizing people already around the world. And
Prime Minister Marape stating that due to the limited number of vaccines that will be available, vaccinations will not be compulsory and it will be targeted at people who are above the age of 50 and have underlying health conditions, and also health workers. PM Marape giving a priority to health workers after a majority of COVID-19 positive cases were frontline health workers.
the training of the health workers should have already begun, but if not, it may start tomorrow, because once they get we want all our nurses and frontliners all trained up before the vaccine comes so that we can roll straight out. The first lot of vaccine, we are probably looking in about 2 to 3 weeks' time when it lands here. And we should have our staff trained well enough to go to other areas to make sure that the frontliners are vaccinated.
For the skeptics who believe in conspiracy theories around the COVID-19 vaccination, this is what the health minister had to say.
With the doctors that are saying that the vaccine is not good, or they shouldn't use the vaccine, or they're using Bill Gates or 666 or all these things, I find it very irresponsible of them. They should be trying to minimize as much damage as we can. And the government is a responsible government. Even if you don't want to take it, at least we have it here in the country for people that want to take it.
Adelaide Sirox-Kari, National EMTV News.
India will be supplying COVID-19 vaccines to Papua New Guinea as case numbers surge in the country. Indian High Commissioner to PNG, His Excellency Sushil Kumar Singhal, in an interview with EMTV News this afternoon, said India supplies over 40% of vaccines globally, and in light of the COVID-19 global pandemic has distributed vaccines to 45 countries so far. He said India is happy to assist PNG in this regard as part of bilateral relations between the two nations. As East Sepik Province prepares to receive the Grand Chief, security presence in the province has also been stepped up. Military from Port Moresby and police from Lay and Mount Hagen are on the ground to ensure smooth running of the funeral program.
From the 1st Royal Pacific Islands Regiment arrived yesterday in Wewak. The troops include a band, platoon and new recruits. They proceeded to Moyam Barracks for a welcome parade hosted by the commanding officer of the 2nd Royal Pacific Islands Regiment. He explained to the men the purpose and importance of their visit in Wewak and called for commitment and discipline at all times.
Today is a big day. Yesterday, Grand Chief will be arriving here, the late Grand Chief. We will receive him.
Okay, what will happen is we will put up a guard of honor, and we will We will receive the casket, and our regimental color will also go out. We will also put the display. After receiving him, we will slow march the casket to the stadium. That will be a different funeral process in of itself. The casket will be led by the escorts. That's a 30-man strength, and then the band platoon will lead that, and rest the casket, the vehicle carrying the casket, and rest of the party will proceed to the stadium. At the stadium, we will officially hand over the casket to the provincial government, the governor of East Sepik province.
Meanwhile, police operations is already in progress. A mobile squad 06 from Mount Hagen is currently on ground. Another mobile squad will arrive from Ley to ensure the funeral program is run smoothly.
So yes, for security reasons or purposes, we've got mobile squad 13 from Ley flying in tomorrow to beef up what we've got with mobile squad 6 from Mount Hagen that are already here. We've got the task force in Wewak that comprises about 20 men. We've got police in the districts that will maintain their own districts. At this time, we are mindful of businesses in the districts. People have properties in the districts. At this time, we would not like to leave a vacuum whereby opportunists will take advantage of. While there are genuine mourners mourning for our Grand Chief, opportunists we are mindful of will take that opportunity as well.
Yamasombi also stressed the importance of COVID-19 as people start to make their way into Wewak. Police will be observing strict COVID-19 procedures such as wearing of face mask and washing hands. Yamasombi urged the public in Wewak to also observe strict COVID-19 protocols, especially wearing of face mask at all times.
Provincial Police Commander for East Sepik Albert Bailey, while acknowledging the province for their utmost respect and cooperation during this time of mourning, also sounded a warning to opportunists who might take advantage of the situation with the influx of people in town. Police will be in full force monitoring the crowd and the Sepik Highway.
As usual, police will be out in full force. We will not hesitate to deal with any lawbreakers, especially opportunists on this day. If they are surely involved in such activities that is not tolerated, it's a warning that I'm putting forward.
Shamed Boreambeb, National EMTV News, Wewak.
Maprik District for many years has shared a special bond with the Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare. The friendship was forged between Sir Peter Luce and Sir Michael when talks of independence were just mere conversations.
The people of Maprik have their own stories to tell of how two great leaders emerged from the Sego-thatched huts of the Sepik to being in the focal point of pushing for political independence. Their stories go way back in the 60s, well, at least for Sir Peter Luce. Sir Michael has openly acknowledged Sir Peter as being the cornerstone in his journey through politics. Based on that mutual relationship, the people of Maprik convoyed into Wewak town on Monday to support the Karau people in maintaining the house cry in Wewak. Part of the convoy were 3 trucks packed with garden produce. Other light vehicles transported several live pigs. The Maprik House Cry Committee Chairman Henry Ariro and local MP John Simon explained why this gesture was important for the people of Maprik, citing a relationship between Sir Peter Luce and Sir Michael Somare prior to independence. The relationship was explained to Michael Somare Jr. and his father's people in front of the Grand Chief's NBC house in Wewak town.
political history belong late Grand Chief Michael Thomas Murray been start with his brother Sir Peter Luce. Mibla must truly come here because we are a family.
Lo story ol papa story o sem. Online loya ol in prank Martin. So Samara must go campaign lo hap na win him vote. Regional member prank Martin loya. Stalo nabi solo li mem loya. Mibla line lo handa start lo support blong. Say Michael.
This song, sung in the Abelam language, tells the story of the successes of the Grand Chief. Men and women in black and faces painted with mud sang the song in front of the Karao people to show their gratitude and compassion for the old man. Because of the ties between the two political giants of yesteryears and in honor of that relationship, the Maprik people want the Grand Chief's body to at least spend a few hours in Maprik town. This shared idea was expressed by the MP John Simon.
Papa na kru di Maprik, I give him blessing lo mibla. Finish blang mas at least kung dablo Maprik na iblak si come down. Ask him blong na mibla come down lo ask him blong disla.
A request too big for one person to answer, with Michael Jr. promising to take the request up with his older siblings, but he accepted the gifts.
Lo side lo o se papa lo move round. Hard lo mi one lo ki decision le. Mi gatol family lo mi ko linem lo. Mi must go back na mi go to talk more.
The convoy then proceeded up the Wewak Hill and unloaded the trucks full of bananas, yam, taro, coconut, and even betel nut. Shamin Poreambab, National MTV News, Wewak.
Members of the Grand Chief's clan from Murik have been gathering since his passing. Today they allowed us to witness mourning songs sung in Sir Michael's honor. Very rarely are songs like this sung outside the traditional setting.
This is one of a series of traditional mourning songs from Murik, where the Grand Chief comes from. Most of the men and women here came from their villages to this house cry at Sir Michael's old NBC residence in Wewak. They are cousins, nieces and nephews who have come to pay their respects. Alex Kabasa, a cousin and a local level government councillor and elder from Karao village, explained that the singing in honor of Sir Michael's achievements in life will go on until he is buried.
Man by stop lo hable, like sir, now suppose you go to Karao, and by go stop lo houseman, boy house. By stop lo this la hab. By stop all Mary. Want him something all walk him today now walk him stop all by stop lo have blow let all man want them body let's say by stop lo houseman so me by sing one kind also all two now me two lo house boy by stop to light morning now now all by come.
The house cry is just one part of a funeral protocol that begins when a person dies. The process is more elaborate when a big man passes on. The songs are rooted in traditional trade with neighboring provinces. Long ago, their elders bought songs along with goods they traded, and they traded with people from West Sepik and Medang.
Maybe got all this traditional ties before come. I mean, strong more. Like some sing, you may walk him lo yeah. I'm sorry come long. Side long Medang. Also come also some maybe like say lo West Sepik.
In many instances, songs are composed for an important person who has passed on. And the passing of the Grand Chief has triggered both an outpouring of grief and has caused people to reconnect with their own Papua New Guinean roots. And Papua New Guinea is being allowed a unique opportunity to see all that firsthand as they honor Sir Michael. Scott Whitey, National MTV News, Wewak.
People from Maprik have contributed their most prized yams to thank the 22 provincial communities who paid tribute to the Grand Chief over the last week at the Port Moresby house cry. The yams will be flown to Port Moresby with saksak and other foods to be distributed by the Sipik community in Port Moresby. Some of the yams are about 2 meters in length and took at least 6 months to grow.
Me blong abalam tribe na all Arabes mi bla puti wandem na mi bla kariya migam. Yam you got story blong emosem. You know sleep wande meri na 6 moon. You stop maski mi got period na mi cook you know kege. You sacrifice na boy abes tim disla. So I'm custom blong mi bla long abalam tribe blong Maprik. Purposely mi bla say decorate wande house tamran. You looking house tamran also sample all puti la parliament am design blong mi bla parliament also time blong late sumare stabya. I'm custom blong mi bla. Morning mi dog boy kege na finish but this is mi got story blong em. Coconuts ring morning na yam mi got story blong em.
And we now cross live to Wewak, where Scott Wide is standing by to give us an insight on the scale of operations in Wewak town. Scott.
Thank you, Helen. We've been here for 3 days, and the last 3 days there's been a build-up of activity all over Wewak, and it's not just a few families doing it. It's the whole town, men, women, children, in front of their yards, in front of buildings. You can see on the shop fronts they're putting up new paint coats. They're putting up new flags, and it's a whole set of activities that are happening in Wewak town. And just to give you a scale of what's happening here, all the hire cars have been booked out, all the accommodation has been booked out, and we've had to book our accommodation for our crew of 16 2 weeks in advance before we actually deployed here. And Wewak is expecting several delegations, at least one from every province. If it's not a government delegation, we're expecting at least one delegation from each province. The central delegation had an advanced party come in last week. They were asking to buy 50 pigs, and that's the kind of scale of purchases that we're expecting over here in Wewak. Just yesterday, the Maprik community brought in a set of pigs, food, and other items to the Somares, and we're expecting that to continue over the course of the week. In total, Wewak is expecting up to 150,000 people.
And Scott, with the influx of people moving into Wewak during this time, what are some of the restrictions Wewak has in place for COVID-19 during this time?
Yeah, the provincial administration has given warnings out, telling people that the number of people that are coming into Wewak will be restricted, and they will use police if necessary. Within the Sir Michael Thomas Somare Stadium, there's a capacity of 10,000, but organizers are expecting at least 20,000 to be in that stadium on the 14th and the 15th and the 16th.
And thank you, Scott. That was Scott Wide in Wewak giving us an update of the situation there. Now, among stories after the break, we'll look at Sir Michael's final words, and former Prime Minister Peter O'Neill apologises at the house cry. Stay with us for the details. Welcome back to the news. Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare's media man Rodney Camus says during Sir Michael's last days, he asked for the family to take care of his wife, Lady Veronica Somare. Sir Michael spent much of his time in 2020 to look after his wife, who's still recovering from a serious illness.
Rodney Camus, one of the Grand Chief's loyal and trusted officers, spoke of the great man's final words.
Emi sick lagi go. Emi talk me plata so long. Look out, mama.
Sir Michael, after politics, spent his most recent years caring for his wife, who fell ill, demonstrating a never-ending love for his sweetheart for the many years she stood by him.
Sir Michael, Papa, he spent most of all of last year, 2020, lo look out the
Mr. Camus says the Grand Chief always had the people of East Sepik at heart and his province stood by him. Time and again in his career in politics, spanning over half a century.
All people of East Sepik all the time, and I'm all like they are so praises to him. All people of East Sepik, he love him all too much.
Mr. Camus, while speaking on the life of Sir Michael, noted the Grand Chief's foresight about his burial at his home in Wewak.
Plenty times I talk about me lose you I think by me live long and me la frontier di look solwara so I can look down to the coast to my village in Murik Lakes, looking all island and looking all something.
Bradley Valenaki, National EMTV News.
Last night at the National House Cry, former Prime Minister and member for Yalibu Pangia Peter O'Neill apologized to the Somare family for any grievance he may have caused during Sir Michael Somare's political career. The former PM paid his respects at the House Cry last night.
As cries from mothers from Southern Highlands brought in mourners from Hela in Southern Highlands, many anticipated the speech by a former PM and member for Yalibu Pangia after the member for Sinisine Yongomul and Petroleum Minister Karangakoa last Saturday called on MPs who were a part of the Somare impasse in 2011 to apologize. Last night, O'Neill apologized.
I know we've had our own differences. And if I had caused some grief and pain to the Somare family or himself, we apologize for it. We say sorry. Politics is not easy. We are all dictated by numbers on the floor. That's what we have practiced as a country for the last 45, 46 years, and it will continue to do so. But before I conclude, let me say this. Whilst expressing our heartfelt condolences to the family, and especially the people of East Sepik, that thank you for giving this unique man to our nation. Thank you for giving this unique man to our nation. He was the right man at the right place at the right time of the history of our country.
O'Neill further highlighting Sir Michael's political career as someone who continued to assist and train first-time members of Parliament in ministerial portfolios to allow them to grow in politics. O'Neill attributing his own political career to the lessons learned from the founding father.
Many of us who are in politics today, we have served in this cabinet, we have served in this government in various capacities, but a unique style of leadership, the Melanesian way of leadership that he provided, guiding many of the young leaders who came after him to achieve some of the things that we have been able to achieve, is again a credit to him.
Adelaide Xerox Kari, National EMTV News.
Jiwaka Province also mourned the passing of the Grand Chief. Governor Dr. William Tongab chartered a plane and brought some of the former and current politicians to Port Moresby to pay their tributes. Jiwaka and Western Highlands were represented at the House Cry on Sunday.
Jiwaka Governor Dr. Tongab said for Jiwakans to mourn the passing of Grand Chiefs is significant because Somare gave them double independence, national and provincial.
Now this request long all. I'm delivering lo yumi. 38 years, 40 years later. Now yumi can call him yumi at Jiwaka Province. Now yumi be one time walk about, go la House Cry. Now talk tengelo man give him province lo yumi na mix.
As appreciation for the provincial independence, Governor Tongab, on behalf of the people of Jiwaka, donated 500,000 to the House Cry.
Lily contribution by me today by 500,000 go towards House Cry late Michael Somare.
Amongst the few Jiwakan speakers was former two-term Nordwagi MP William Wee. Mr. Wee spoke of his term serving under Somare and emotionally thanked Somare.
Sir, Jiwaka has got nothing to give to you. Sir, we give our heart, we give our prayers to you. Until we join you, rest in peace. Thank you.
The Jiwakans, as final thank you and mourning, will fly a delegation to Wewak to witness the burial and finally thank the Somare family and the people of Isipik province. Alexis Sengi, National EMTV News.
Lay residents have set up a house sore at the Raunwara area to commemorate the life of Sir Michael Somare. Traditional mourning beats and songs were presented today by groups of young men. The two groups were from the Ahus Island in Manus and Makam in Morbe province.
A traditional mourning beat from the Ahus Island in Manus province was played at dawn today to commemorate the passing of one of PNG's founding father and Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare. The Garamut band was made up of first-year Manu students attending the University of Technology.
Garamut mi plano sa fighting long or pirapim long na no got no place to. So now we play pirapim lawyer and first time we play pirapim out no place to come lawyer because Sir Michael Somare and Papua, you know Papua country.
The Makam group also presented a mourning song signifying the death of a leader.
Inside the song, sometimes we sing companies, one song we plan to sing it, one sing title the song September 16. So now I must when I write that time straight, the song about meaningful, it's like in time must be singing.
The event at the Raunwara was organized by like-minded citizens of Ley with the support of the Forest Research Institute, the Ley City Authority and the Disaster Office. This program was initiated particularly for residents who cannot make it to the main provincial house cry program at the Sir Ignatius Kilagas Stadium during the nights.
Lifelong Grand Chief Sir Michael Thomas Somare, he is a Moses to Papua New Guinea.
This morning, the program proceeded with a morning devotion, followed by the national anthem and the national pledge.
So, this la liklik sidang bami lohia mito thank you la Papa Grand Chief na nature lohia la hari yumi na allow yumi na one bell one time yumi sing one time yumi karao one time yumi. Make him all get something one time this time sorry.
After the main program, the public was given the opportunity to lay their wreaths and pay their respect to the Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare. Charlene Airy, National EMTV News, Ley.
And now looking at the NASFund's market report, the Kina opened unchanged at $0.2850 in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina will buy $0.2775 $0.3583 Australian dollars, $0.3858 New Zealand dollars, and 29.59 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold is trading higher. Coffee closed higher, cocoa closed lower, and copra closed higher. Palm oil closed lower, crude oil is trading higher, and copper closed lower. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed higher, the ASX 200 is trading higher, and the All Ordinaries is trading higher. National EMTV News continues with more stories after these messages. Stay with us. Welcome back to National EMTV News. We cross live now to the Sir John Guy's Indoor Complex for tonight's house cry, represented by Midang and Morbe provinces.
Province in our country, and my heart is totally humbled and warmed to know in the midst of grief, our people pay due respect where it is due. Thank you very much, each and every one of you. I may not have thanked you enough, but God of our Grand Chief, God of this country, God of you and me, knows your presence, and we from the front would like to thank you all Morobans for coming up big tonight. May your expressions and lamentations represent the entire length and breadth of Morobe and PNG, and may memory of Grand Chief inspire us as a young nation to live forward, come together, console and comfort one another and help this nation get through a nation that he truly foresaw at 1968 and 1973, 1975. Let us embrace his spirit of forging unity to develop this country into the future. Thank you very much, Morobe, for coming. Let me thank Governor Ginson Sanu for your leadership and for embracing Grand Chief in this manner. We look forward to hearing your testimonies and your stories of the Grand Chief. God bless each and every one of you.
And just a reminder, the House Cry will be live streamed on our Facebook page at EMTV Online from 7 p.m. to 10 p.m. tonight. The people of South Wirral in the Yalibu-Pange electorate need basic health care service. Among the COVID-19 pandemic and other disease outbreak, women living in the Wirral LLG are still giving home births due to no road connections to the nearest Williame Sub-Health Centre.
This is Williame Sub-Health Centre run by the Catholic Church Agency. It has a total of 6 community health workers and nurses, 2 of which are male. The Sub-Health Centre provides basic healthcare service to more than 15,000 population in the Wirral LLG. These health workers always walk distances for 2 to 3 days to conduct mobile clinic to conduct immunization, antenatal and prenatal clinic, voluntary service counseling and testing, and return to Williame Health Centre.
Backside la mountain and mi plaga trebla when patrol areas is clinic sites. This time mi plaga ona sleep la one area call another place also na walking clinic. That's all mobile clinic and mi plaga walk about around Lord is the site that's all.
On a normal day, they see roughly 20 patients at the outpatient. During disease outbreaks, they get 50 patients a day. However, there are more villages living at the back of the mountains in the last Wirral area that have no road connections, which made it difficult for pregnant women to visit the health center for antenatal clinics or delivery. Before 2019, when there were no road connections from Pangia Station to Williame Sub-Health Centre, the health centre delivered only 4 babies a year. Since 2019, the number of deliveries started to increase to 20 deliveries per year. CHW Belinda Kundi told MTV News that it is dangerous that mothers are still giving home births.
Yeah, I'll come to Save, time you plug clinic, time I'll talk, I'll carry the place. Sometimes the clinic, MCH clinic, mi plako patrol time. Also talk service. Okay, marasin online lo one medical store lo I can start delivering. Lo mi play at least. Before so give me play every quarter or something or something, but now also more delay so must sort the marasin or something.
CHW Kundi said basic health service is a vital need for women and children in this part of the country, but it would be made possible if there is road connection. Kundi said pneumonia, TB and HIV and AIDS are the leading sicknesses in the South Wirral LLG, which needed attention from the Southern Highlands Provincial Health Authority and the local and provincial governments. Vasinatha Yama, National MTV News, Mount Hagen.
To celebrate International Women's Day, the Business Coalition for Women organized a panel discussion after the BCFW graduation yesterday. The panelists included the CEO for Bank South Pacific, Robin Fleming, Deborah Onga from the Steamships Company, and Madeline Orim, a BCFW alumni representative. The panel discussion's theme was Women in Leadership, Achieving an Equal Future in a COVID-19 World.
The panel discussion was led by the General Manager for PNGFM, Rosemary Botong, who posed very challenging questions to the panelists. The questions were centered on women in leadership, achieving an equal future in a COVID-19 world. The panelists, who were in positions of leadership, were able to speak highly of how well other female leaders in their organizations faced the challenges of the COVID-19 pandemic. The Steamships Company legal advisor Deborah Onga talked about an all-girls team that won a court case that's been pending for a very long time.
that could have only happened because of COVID. These girls wouldn't have been given the chance to run such a complex trial and to actually run it and win it on their own merit.
The CEO of BSP, Robin Fleming, also talked about how proud he was of the female leaders in his company and wants everyone to understand that while they are dealing well with the COVID-19 pandemic, they also have to take it seriously.
Adapting to the changing environment is being seen to be leading in your own work practices, being able to be undertaking those dual roles of being, in many instances, the leader of the family, plus also when you get to work, to be able to illustrate that you recognise that the real dangers which are present in the COVID environment.
The panelists were all from the private sector without any representatives from the public sector. A BCFW graduate raised concerns that while they are hearing from the private sector, they want to also know what the public sector is doing to help women in leadership in this COVID-19 world. Gertrude Gabin, National EMTV News.
Former Chief Justice Sir Arnold Ahmed says PNG does not have a policy, law and management guidelines on sand mining. Ahmed explains there is no policy in place, including no legal framework for this kind of exploration.
That's administered by MRA, that's the chapter is closed. We just have to be vigilant so that no other mischievous group of people will come and try to make application to explore for sand mining in our coastal waters. So that chapter we can close. We filed the constitutional enforcement application for the freedom of our information and right to be heard, which is what we demanded of MRA, and they refused and said what they did, the 2 wardens hearing was enough. So we took out the court application, but we're pleased that we don't have to go ahead with that now because the company has seen the light and withdrawn the application. And that's what good, solid campaign can do against a mischievous kind of proposal for exploration or developments. Because what they can do is to sell that asset, which is the license, to somebody else who might have the money to go and build all the equipments and the mothership to explore. So the license is still current, except the government is now paying the bill for the loan, and basically we just want that license to be cancelled.
You're watching National EMTV News. Up next, some sporting updates in Chukai Sports. Don't go away.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome to Chukai Sports. President of Papua New Guinea Football Association John Kapinato yesterday paid tribute to the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Thomas Somare on behalf of the PNGFA and the Oceania Football Confederation. Kapinato was part of the Southern Highlands Province contingent yesterday that visited the National House Cry at the Sir John Guy Stadium.
I stand this evening not only a leader of the resource project, but I stand this evening with a couple of hats that I wear. I wear a cap of many young people in this country who play sports. And I bring condolence message from the sports arena to the family of late Sir Michael Somare. There are many things or many ways we can express to the passing away of Grand Chief. One thing that I will always cherish, or we will cherish and remember from him, is one word that I saw or I see in television and reading in newspaper. It's all about unity, that all leaders at every level of life must always unite. If we unite, we see progress.
And Chukai Sports continues with more after these messages. Stay with us.
Chukai Sports.
Welcome back to Chukai Sports. The much-anticipated semi-final of the Women's National Soccer League scheduled for this weekend in Lae has been pushed forward to next week Saturday in the same venue in Lae. President of Papua New Guinea Football Association, John Capinato, said that the deferral is in respect to the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare.
The Women's National Soccer League season 2020-2021 had its scheduled semi-final this weekend on Saturday to be held at the Sir Ignatius Kilaga Stadium in Lae, Morobe Province. However, the semi-finals have been deferred in respect due to the passing of the late Grand Chief Sir Michael Somare.
And I'm sure this week everybody is mourning and still passing on the condolence, and I think by the end of this week, Thursday or Friday, the body departs to WeWork, and all our prayers and support goes to the family. And with that, in whatever we do in life, it must continue on.
The new dates for the semi-final will be on the 20th of March 2021, with the finals to be held here in Port Moresby on the 27th of March.
Our final series has been officially deferred from the 13th to the 20th of March. That is when we will stage our semi-finals in Lae. And then, as he said, on the 27th, we will bring the teams here for the finals.
Papua New Guinea Football Association says with the conclusion of the proper season last weekend, with the final matches played by the Northern Conference in Lae and Goroka, players who performed exceptionally well in the two conferences have already been given their individual awards.
We also awarded awards to winners of both conferences, individual and team awards. For the Fair Play Award, the conference winners, and individual awards such as the Golden Boot, the Golden Glove, and MVP.
Fidelis Sukina, Chukai Sports.
And that ends Chukai Sports. The weather forecast after the break.
Chukai Sports. Chukai Sports.
This weather update is proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
A look at the weather forecast for tonight and tomorrow in the southern region. Thundery rain showers easing, then possible inland morning fog in Port Moresby. Cloudy with a shower or two in Daru, Kerema and Alatau. And some thundery showers, then cloudy weather in Popondita. In the Momase region, cloudy with a few showers in Lae and Vanimo. Thundery showers, then cloudy weather in Medang and Wewak. In the New Guinea Islands region, some showers with possible thunderstorms in Lorengau. Cloudy periods in Kavieng. Mostly fine weather, though partly cloudy in Kokopo and Rabaul. Cloudy periods with some showers in Kimbe and mostly fine weather in Buka. And in the Highlands region, rain showers overnight, then morning fog in Mount Hagen, Mendi and Wabek, and cloudy periods, then morning fog in Goroka and Kondiawa.
The weather update was proudly brought to you by MoneyPlus, with you always.
And now we cross over to the Sir John Guy Stadium once again.
Moresby. Acknowledging Middle Ramu MP, Honourable Johnny Alonk, along with the member for Sumkar, Honourable Chris Nangoy, and the member for Raikos, Honourable Peter Sapia, acknowledge your presence, sitting with your groups.
And a reminder once again to our viewers, you can watch the House Cry on our Facebook page at EMTV Online straight after the news. And that's been the news, sport and weather for today, Tuesday, the 9th of March 2021. From all of us here at EMTV, pleasant viewing. Bye for now.